By March 13, 2025, Russian troops had liberated most of Sudzha, which had been the enemy's main defense hub in Kursk region. To the south of the city, the Malovoy village and the surrounding woodlands came under the control of the Russian armed forces. The AFU continued to experience difficulties with supplies along the 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐴 highway, which had been taken under fire control by Russian units. Under regular UAV and artillery strikes, the remnants of the Sudzha garrison retreated towards 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐴 in an attempt to stabilize the front. By March 15th, the Russian armed forces had completely knocked the enemy out of 𝐷𝐻𝐤𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐴 and 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐴𝐚. There was still a focal presence of AFU forces in the settlements, but they were only scattered groups of soldiers and did not resist in an organized manner. The main forces of the Russian troops were aimed at clearing the territory and preparing for further advance towards Rubanshchina and 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐴. At the same time, evacuation of the civilian population began in Sudzha, and Russian media personnel appeared in the city center and its western suburbs. To the west, advancing from the border with Sumy region, Russian troops reached the northwestern outskirts of Basivka by March 18th. For the AFU, the loss of control over this settlement would mean an almost complete halt to the supply along the Ynakivka-Sudzha highway. Nevertheless, it was not possible to knock the enemy out. The AFU, taking advantage of the fact that the village lies in a low-lying area relative to the banks of the Lochnia River, kept their defenses stable. In the western and central parts of the village, there were fierce counter-battles, which are still going on. By March 18th, Russian troops had finally taken control of the outskirts of Sudzha. Russian media filmed reports of enemy vehicles being hit on the Sudzha-Kazachia-Lochnia highway, confirming the retreat of the AFU. To the north of the city, the Russian armed forces pushed back the enemy to the Popadya Pond. By this point, in the north of the Kursk region, Bridgehead, the AFU were practically semi-encircled. West of Sudzha, Russian troops had liberated most of Rubanshchina. By March 20th, the enemy had been knocked out of Rubanshchina, as confirmed by footage shot in the village by Russian volunteers. The fighting unfolded on the eastern outskirts of 𝐔𝐤𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐴, one of the last AFU defense hubs in the area. To the south, the assault troops occupied several strongholds near the Sudzha-Gwevo highway. Now they are developing their offensive towards the Oleshnya village, which last year became one of the starting points of the AFU invasion of the Kursk region.